hello anybody who is watching. I'm Many Tiny Boxes, and I made an album, and a lot of people are listening to it now because Brad Taste in Music rated in his top 10 of the year, and I'm here to read some of the reviews. And hopefully this is at least a little bit interesting for people. It's just really cathartic for me to have people giving me feedback and genuinely engaging with my artwork. And I cannot say thank you enough. It is genuinely beyond me. Before I go into a bunch of the other reviews, a common statement, a common question, I suppose a common concern that I've been getting quite a lot is if I'm doing okay, which is appreciated. I am thankful that people are caring and concerned. I will address that later on in the video as a whole separate section, so whenever it comes up in here I'm gonna kind of brush over it, but I will talk about it later. Well, the time to explain it is now here. I know this was quick. Editing me wants to come in and explain. Just to right off the bat answer like the basic question, am I okay? The answer is yes, I'm doing okay. I'm fine, I'm not in any danger, I'm not gonna hurt myself, I'm okay. To elaborate on this further, I don't know how much people care, but this is an album very much about trauma, an album very much about your own depression, very much about mental illness and struggle, and it's kind of the most direct pouring out of my soul into art that I think that I have the capability of doing. And while that obviously comes off as a very terrifying, like very heavy thing worthy of concern, it's been extremely healthy for me and extremely beneficial. It's been an invaluable tool for me to heal from the past and some of the harder difficulties that I've had to take on in my life. And this is a way of kind of releasing that, getting that out there, healing it, and moving forward. And in future projects, I'm hoping to, I'll still probably be revolving kind of in a similar tone, similar ideas, but I do want to inspire people to not only like express the heaviness of their emotions, but to also be able to reclaim their power and be able to move forward and heal from those. And that's really what I'm hoping this is the first step in doing. Okay, well, to start off with, we have a 90 from Inmisun. I hope I'm not butchering that name, but I probably am. This was the sweetest review I've ever fucking read in my entire life. It says, "This is the best musical representation of losing your fucking mind I have heard in a long time, if not ever. Cool. The production on this project is mind-blowing. I've attempted to make something similar before, but it's so difficult to execute well. Not only does Many Tiny Boxes pull off the sound basically flawlessly, but the abrasiveness actually feels very warranted. It's seriously terrifying at times, which is very rare and impressive. This is also thanks to the amazing vocal performances, which add a ton of feel to the album. Very real and genuine emotion is being put into them. I hate to bring myself into it, but being someone who has struggled with similar things made these performances feel all the more real and impactful. I think the artist reads all these reviews. I do. So if you do see this, I hope things are getting better, and I hope too that this music has worked as a release for you. It really sounded like you put everything into this, and you're super talented. Don't forget that. Favorite track, Charity and Abuse." When I first read this, my heart melted. I cannot express, like, not only can I tell that they like listened carefully and well to like this thing I poured my soul into, they also saw the vision, they also like understood it, and they felt like they felt their own struggles as being represented in the art, and it was able to impact them in this way. And that is, thank you. You are the greatest. I cannot express how amazing this is and how Just thank you so much. I cannot. Thank you. Okay, I also wanted to cover this review. It's the most critical review I've received from JP, and I appreciate. I really like this review quite a bit too, and I especially appreciate it because I replied being like, thank you for giving it a listen, for the amazing feedback, and they had a very nice reply here saying, keep going dude, you've got a unique style, so don't stop making music. But basically what they said is, here's the thing with this album, it definitely has its moments, and some of the hooks are definitely memorable. However, the production on most of these tracks do surprise me with how amateurish they come across. Some of the sounds and effects just don't ring as creative for me. On top of this, the project feels unfocused lyrically. Not that the songwriting is bad, as I found the writing to be quite good on a track-to-track basis. As a whole project, the self-titled debut is messy, but also pretty novel. Pretty excited to see if there is some artistic growth from here. This review also meant a lot for me. This felt very honest, and I appreciate that. And I guess to respond to it, yeah, I can see it. It is very amateurish. I'm very new to this. Not new to music as a whole, but new to, I guess, producing, new to doing this style of music. And I can definitely hear where you're coming from on that one. And the unfocused lyrics, I do think, were somewhat of an intentional artistic decision on my part, but I can also understand that as well. And you know, I hope to hear more from this person in the future. And again, thank you so fucking much for listening. Thank you so fucking much for listening. It means the world. Okay, so here's another one that is fairly critical, but I really like it. I love the shit out of this review, and I wanted to share it as well. It's from Boundless Trap, give me 68. Coming from Brad, they enjoyed the intro, and then the first song, they were not a fan, comparing me to Onision, and they did not like the vocal effects and the instrumental changes, and overall were not a fan of my vocals at all, which is so fair. But an interesting start, and then moving on to the next song, they're still not feeling it. This is what Death Grips fans hear for the first time, but even worse somehow. There's a pretty cool interlude after the first vocals, though. Really reminds me of Year Zero era 9 Inch Nails. I mean, I feel like, yeah. It has some redeeming qualities after the interlude, like a more clinically insane little darky. And I really hate to keep bringing me up, but every time I hear the tiniest amount of sub bass, I think of him. And then the rest of it is fairly positive. So I mean, like, at first I was like, oh no, but this review is actually very flattering, because I can, you know, from the first two tracks, you can tell that, like, at first they're not feeling it, and it kind of grows with them, and I can tell that they're being honest. Like, this is blatantly very honest, so it means a lot when they compliment me. But next is, this song actually gave me goosebumps for how purely eerie it sounds, like an evil chant behind bass-boosted raindrops off those stalactites, and the exit has collapsed. The cave is filling up with water in every drop, and there's no escape. This is fucking beautiful. This is like poetry. This is amazing. And then next, a beautiful piano-led melody interrupted with broken era 9 Inch Nails synths and a man writing his last words. 89, Flowers. The intro had me a little deterrent, but then when that drop kicked in, damn, was amazing. Damn, was that amazing. The vocal mixing does definitely still need work, but overall it's pretty good. Unstoppable. A pleasant song. I will say Boxes does sort of sound like Billy Corgan in this song. No disrespect, of course. The instrumental is great, as with most of this album, but vocals are still lacking. That's fair. This song is a little all over the place with the vocals that clearly don't belong very well in sync with the instrumental. And there's also just a random music box in the middle of the song for no reason at all. Again, fair. I think that the music box is actually some chimes that I found at a park nearby that I like the sound of, and I kind of had it as a transitioning piece. The story of that song is about it's a very personal event, or a very personal trauma. and it kind of symbolizes this change in tone from like childlike naivety to a more adult understanding, and it was just like a little transition-y bit, but I get it. Pity, they really like this one. Song is a banger, pretty groovy beat, uncanniness, pit, mixed Jack Stover with chord. That is the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life. Help, a pretty insane track full of mania and panic, it's great. And the final track, this track is really creepy, never keeping you away from feeling like you're being watched by something. Overall, this is probably one of my most unique listens. The only real criticisms I have is to stop using garbage vocal effects where they don't really fit well with the instrumental, and maybe turn the vocal tracks up a little so I can hear them better. But overall, it was a pretty interesting experience. So this is the second time I've heard about the vocal mixing, and I'll try better in the future. I really appreciate this person for listening. I really appreciate their comments. Their review is amazing. I love the fucking analogy that they have here. This anecdote, this crazy analogy, and then like these amazing words, and then that they're they're being honest. They do not like the vocal effects, and I adore this review so much. Thank you to Boundless Trap for listening. I greatly appreciate it. Okay, so here's another review from Winter018, and I chose to highlight this one just because I think it is worded so beautifully and is so kind and thoughtful and makes me melt, and has, some fair criticisms as well. They say, this record ventures boldly into experimental territory, offering a sonic landscape that immerses the listener in a captivatingly emotional journey. Each track feels like a torrent of various emotional states, akin to experiencing a myriad of distinct and intense maniac episodes. The artist fearlessly explores unconventional soundscapes, pushing boundaries and challenging the norms of musical expression. However, this avant-garde approach comes at the cost for the listener. The unconventional nature of this album, while fascinating and deeply moving, might demand a level of openness and patience from the audience. The erratic shifts in tones and themes throughout the LP might prove challenging for those seeking more traditional or easily digestible music experiences. Nevertheless, this album is nothing short of remarkable. Its daring exploration of the uncharted realms of sound offers a rich tapestry of emotions and experiences. For those willing to embark on an unorthodox musical voyage, this LP rewards with moments of sheer brilliance, unveiling layers of depths and innovation that linger long after the final note fades. It's an immersive sonic adventure that, despite its challenging nature, leaves an indelible mark on the musical landscape. So beautiful and amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate so genuinely that, despite, these concerns for it being a challenging listen, that they were able to see the vision so well, and their praise, and I'm was just trying my best to create something very true to myself, and I'm just so glad that this is the way someone is seeing it, in a way that's being perceived. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you. This is an amazing review that melts my heart into 1,000 pieces. Okay, so this is the last review I'm going to do in this video. I wish I could read all of them. However, there are so many that I do not have the time. But this is a 100, so right off the bat, what we're fucking getting into here. But this review just fucking it's so it is beautiful to me. It makes me so happy, and I genuinely cannot. Well, we'll get into it. We'll just get into it. It's 11 p.m. I've been listening to this on repeat since 5 p.m. yesterday. 5 p.m. yesterday. Beware, this music contains schizophrenic nightmare feeling and is often intense. If thoughts of abuse are too overwhelming, perhaps consider skipping the song Charity and Abuse, although I'll try my best describing it below. Cheers. Many tiny intros provides us with a brief moment of realization. This project is anything but the random noise generator we've heard about, but rather a peek through the roller coaster of life. Schizo-egomania. is just as the name suggests. The first 35 seconds feel like the final portions of a trippy nightmare just before you realize it's a dream. There's a loopy voice of a woman speaking in tongues before we abruptly wake to rhythmic thought loops that quickly turn agitated. It seems at this moment like some memory pops into her head. This memory quickly changes the emotion from agitation to distressed, which results in the character flipping into a severe episode of hallucinations. She calmly speaks to the hallucinations. The rambling once again begins. However, this time, bizarre vocals screeches layer above the rambling. There were indeed weird sounds in the first verse, but this time they're layered on top of the rambling. Soon enough, the rambling finishes. A decrescendo slows the pace into what I can only interpret as falling asleep into the same nightmare as before, but this time far more intense. It's so amazing. I cannot. I know they know. Follows the same trippy nightmare vibes. It seems our character is being judged for their actions in front of some sort of alien jury. Soon enough, we find ourselves to be in what feels like a Death Grips concert on steroids. A lot of the vocals here are the same vocals from the nightmarish elements in the previous song. The song ends with the noise of a helicopter made of drumsticks. Time doesn't heal my wounds is the most haunting part of this project. The song begins with string legato following the faint sounds of whispers panning in all directions. Time doesn't heal all my wounds repeats as the beat slowly gets more wonky. I am lonely feels to be a hangover from the nightmares before. The character is equally relieved to be awake as she is ruminating in the memory. The song begins with soft rainfall that slowly turns into loud crashes with distorted melodies. Some mechanical sound interrupts the rumination, offering a moment of silence from the distorted white noise. The nature is now calm with the light rainstorm, which leads her to singing a lullaby to herself as she falls back asleep to the sound of rainy static. This is fucking beautiful. Okay. Flowers Lie. I'm like getting emotional reading this. Flowers Lie reminds me of the rare occasions I'd leave my house during my manic episode last year. The fast-tempoed 4-on-the-floor drum pattern takes me back to the strange contrast of pushing my body during exercise while also feeling the effects of antipsychotics. Once again, we are swinging back and forth between abrasion and calmness. The brashness elicits the feeling of finding out your phone battery's on 1%. Our character is once again hallucinating while ruminating on traumatic memories. Unstoppable Immovable is my friend's favorite part of this project. This song strikes me as a vision of a suicide attempt, which she survives. We begin with a slow swing groove into a twilightish piano vibe. Glitchy vocals layered over the piano soon turn into our character singing. The intensity of the instrumental mirrors the intensity of her delivery. When she raises her voice, the sound gets distorted. The agony being felt is apparent. Charity and abuse might perhaps be the most disturbed thing I've heard in my life. This is saying a lot since I've seen some stuff. The song seems to be some sort of flashback regarding a memory of an abusive mother. Our character doesn't seem to be begging to the mother, but rather is referring to her in the third person. Unless she would, for some reason, say, "That's not my mom," to her own mom, which isn't right. The part towards the end is the peak of intensity throughout this album. Besides maybe I Know They Know, the outro melody is identical to the intro melody, perhaps a tad slower. However, this time, we're left uneasy with our new association of this melody, which was once pleasant. There are faint footsteps, which can only seem to be interpreted as whoever did this to her. This is it's so beautiful. Okay. Feed me your pity, please. It feels to be an extension of the previous track. Hallucinations begin along a similar experience to whatever was happening before. She seems to admit to being afraid to fall asleep. The beat offers a similar vibe to Flowers Lie, except this instrumental is more of a slow drum and bass or a fast hip-hop beat. She playfully alludes to the fact that her wrists are small and malleable. The song abruptly ends into the next one. Down the Pit seems to be, as the name suggests, falling down a pit, except we fall down the pit multiple times. The song is entirely brash and distorted apart from two drum hits. Our characters once again manically rambling. However, this time, they seem to be feeling both suicidal and homicidal. The final pit seems to be the most intensive one, which leads into the next track. This is not a cry for help. Brings us back to the Death Grips vibe. It feels like Travis Scott could feature on this song. The character sees a dead animal on the road. She then sees herself dead, which leads to freaking out over what is real. After the brief episode, she loops back into how the track began. At the end, she reassures us she's fine when we know she's anything but fine. People die sometimes. Our character ends off with a soft but unsettling lullaby. She once again mentions skating, which seems to be a key lore component behind this project. The song begins and ends with a distant, reverberated voice calling out for attention. Oh, this is so fucking beautiful. Final thoughts. The first time I heard this was during Brad's stream when he played I Know They Know. I was in the chat roasting it because I was on gas station headphones and literally thought I was listening to a Death Grips ear grape parody. I don't know when or why I decided to go searching for this again, but I finally found it from Brad rating this his 8th favorite album of the year. I hope you become massively successful for these cathartic creations. My first ever 10 out of 10. I don't have words. I don't have words. There are no words. I cannot, there are no words. And I'm not going to try and force the words. I just want to say that, like, reading this genuinely made me, like, emotional. And I can't express how much this fucking means to me. And I really wanted to read this one just because of how much it means to me, and it seems like my music means something to other people, and I am at awe. I know this was a long one, and I kind of just read it, and I don't have much to say afterwards, but I really wanted to show this one and just say thank you. And I'm not used to talking like this, and like I'm not used to doing videos. I just do music and stuff, so I'm horrible at articulating what I feel like live at the moment, but this makes everything, like, this means so much to me, genuinely. And it's fucking hilarious to me that they were shitting on my song in the chat when I first sent it to Brad, and then it came to be a 10 out of 10 for them. They're Jesus fucking Christ. I'm just gonna end it here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone for listening. And thank you to Brad for giving a shout out. And just, I am eternally thankful for everything right now. I'm so thankful. More in the future. More in the future. It does not end now. It continues. More in future. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, 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 thank you. Okay, goodbye.